Thank you, Greg, and good afternoon, everyone. It's wonderful to see everyone here today on such a great day. I'd also like to extend a special welcome to the Minister for Health and Wellbeing, the Honourable Stephen Wade, MLC, for making this trip out to Murray Beach today, which I'm sure he will enjoy and we enjoy his presence. We have an opportunity today to meet together and review what has happened over the last year or so. The governing board of the Riverland Mallee Coorong Local Health Network has now been in operation for more than a year, and our second year of operation is proving exciting as we consolidate efforts to try to produce best high-quality health service delivery and infrastructure across our region. As our board, we are committed to people living and working in our area to have continual access to high-quality, safe and appropriate health services close to home. This is a prime example of that. Emergency services are the gateway to our health process and all our health services here and in the metropolitan area. The population and workforce in Murray Beach has been growing year on year, which has brought an increasing demand on this hospital's emergency department. And it's fair to say that the previous emergency department was well past its use-by date, but people endured working there knowing that something better was around the corner. Today we're here to witness that. This redevelopment will ensure that we can meet the increasing demand both now and in the future. Murray Beach is one of those thriving, growing regional areas in South Australia, population-wise, industrial, employment, whatever level you look at, Murray Beach is growing and will continue to do so. The state government committed $7 million to the emergency department in the 2018-19 budget, with additional funding provided by the Asset Sustainment Fund for the refurbishment of theatres and development of the Central Sterilising Service Department. Those aspects mean that we can continue to operate at all levels here, not just at the front building. The member for Hammond, Mr. Adrian Pedrick, Mayor of the rural city of Murray Beach, Mr. Brenton Lewis, and the Murray Beach Soldiers Memorial Hospital Health Advisory Council have all been tireless advocates to support this project at all stages. A range of stakeholders were consulted and the development of this plan, including Cultural Health SA staff, SA Ambulance Service, the general practitioners, infection control specialists, and of course the local PAC. We have had significant input from the staff, all of whom have been integral in bringing this day to reality. I would also like to acknowledge the Breach Clinic, who have provided uninterrupted patient and emergency cover for the Murray Beach Soldiers Memorial Hospital for 65 years and will continue to provide ongoing service within the opening of this emergency department. This is a remarkable effort, true testament to their commitment to this town. I would now like to invite the Minister for Health and Wellbeing, the Honourable Stephen Wade, MLC, to say a few words and officially open our emergency department.
Thanks very much, Peter. It does look a bit like a church, and that probably explains why you're all standing at the back and not using the chairs at the front. I'd like to acknowledge the member for Hammond, Mr. Adrian Pedrick, the Mayor of the rural city of Murray Bridge, Mr. Brenton Lewis, the Deputy Chief Executive of SA Health, Lynn Cowan, members of the Riverland Mallee Coorong Local Health Network Governing Board, Dr. Peter Joyner, Claudia Goldsmith, Melanie Ottaway and Fred Toogood. I'd like to acknowledge Paul Worley, who's recently appointed as the Director of Clinical Innovation, Carolyn Fegan, who's currently the Chair of the Urgent Care Clinical Network and is shortly going to become the network's, the Riverland Murray Coorong LHN ED for medical services. I'd like to acknowledge Martin Altman from the Bridge Clinic and his team, Peter Rishbeth, the President of the Rural Doctors Association, and Greg O'Brien, the presiding member of the Murray Bridge Soldiers Memorial Hospital PAC. I'd like to also thank Harley Hall for his very generous welcome to country. I acknowledge that the land we meet on today is the traditional lands of the Narrandjeri people and pay my respects to their elders, past, present and future. I'm delighted to hear that Harley comes from Grafton, because one of my South Australian heroes is David Unipen from the mountain community. Thank you, Greg, for the introduction. I had the pleasure of meeting with a number of the RMC Health Advisory Council presiding members at a recent regional HAC conference. And the work you are doing in your communities is fantastic. Thank you, Greg, and the Murray Bridge Soldiers Memorial Hospital Advisory Council, particularly for the work that you put in to this emergency department. Not only in advocating for it, but also to work with the team here at the hospital to make sure it met the needs of the team, of the community ongoing. In March 2018, spurred on by Adrian Pederick, the local member, the Marshall government made an election commitment to expand the emergency department at the Murray Bridge Soldiers Memorial Hospital. The hospital was challenged by both an ED with a small physical footprint and increasing demand for emergency services in the region. I've had the opportunity to visit Murray Bridge a number of times during the planning and construction of this new emergency department. In 2019, in November, the project had only just received Public Works Committee approval, and it was great to talk to the teams about the plans that they were working up. More recently, in May this year, there was great excitement when the slab was being poured, and it was great to see the progress firsthand and the fantastic job that Shape Australia have done on this project, including creating 20 new jobs in the region. And in May, it was hard to imagine, but the team was explaining how they were going to preserve the heritage items leading into the main entrance, and I think they've done a superb job. It's a very apt entrance, focused entrance for people who come into the hospital precinct. Let me remind you of the work that this ED has to do. In the 1920 year, there were 7,773 emergency department presentations into this hospital. That figure is projected to grow to 14,500 by 2026. The Murray Bridge catchment has the highest population count of any health unit catchment in the Riverland Mallee Coorong local health network, with approximately 22,000 residents. And we're expecting a lot of growth in the region. The $7 million new emergency department has been built specifically to meet the needs of that growing community. It has 2 resuscitation bays, that's 1 more than previously, and 7 treatment bays, that's 4 more than the old ED. It also has a paediatric treatment bay and 2 procedure rooms, including a private multi-purpose room with an ensuite that can be used for gynecological procedures. It also has the capacity for up to 3 people to have cardiac monitoring, up from 1 at the same time. On top of that, we've got 2 new consulting rooms, a private triage room, relatives room, and a separate quiet room for vulnerable patients. What a great facility to support the comfort and safety of our younger and vulnerable consumers. For young ones, attending the hospital, often in tragic circumstances, can be a harrowing experience. To have a quiet space where they can retreat will be a blessing to both them and their families. Layout is paramount to the effective functioning of any emergency department, and this one has been built to ensure that nursing staff have full visibility of patient treatment bays, while ensuring that patients have increased privacy when it's needed, such as during triage or when undergoing personal procedures or treatment. By streamlining the main entrance to the building, we've been able to improve wayfinding and patient flow. The new emergency department has also been developed to cater for SA ambulance staff and our new fleet of Mercedes-Benz VS30 Sprinter ambulance vehicles, 2 of which are headed to Murray Bridge. The undercover ambulance lobby will make it easier for paramedics to transfer patients directly into the emergency department from an ambulance vehicle. The new ED also has a range of features for staff, including a nurses station, a staff room, offices, change room and bathroom facilities, all of which aim to create a harmonious work environment where staff, doctors and nurses have access to dedicated workspaces and are better able to respond to emergencies and look after patient needs. This project demonstrates the state government's commitment to better supporting the health and wellbeing of country South Australians, and I'm delighted to see it come to fruition. Through this new ED, locals and people throughout the region can receive the best possible emergency care when they need it. From next week, patients will have access to brand new equipment in a state-of-the-art facility with increased capacity to meet the rise in emergency presentations. Lastly, I would like to thank all of the RMC staff who have been involved in the project. I'd like to acknowledge the leadership team, CEO Wayne Champion, Executive Director of Nursing and Midwifery Karen Hollett, and the hospital's Director of Nursing and Midwifery Sharon Harrison, ably supported by Peter Joyner and his board. I'd also like to thank all the staff and all the volunteers who work at the hospital for the incredible work that you do day in and day out to keep our communities safe and well. Without further ado, I'll ask Adrian to come and join me to open the facility.
Fantastic. Thank you, Minister. Got it right that time, Sharon.
Thank you, Minister and Mr. Pedery. I'd now like to invite Riverland Mary Coorong Local Health Network CEO Wayne Champion to say a few words before the tours get underway and we get to have a really good look. Thanks, Wayne.
Thanks, Greg. Like everyone else, I'd just like to acknowledge that we're meeting here today on Wurundjeri land. Army Hall for us, welcome to country and for performance of the entrance of the facility for us. Also want to welcome the Minister, welcome Adrian as well, and welcome all of the distinguished guests that have already been mentioned. Also want to welcome James Blanchard Saipol. And I just want to maybe reflect for a couple of seconds. In December 2012, I took up the role of Regional Director for what was then Country Health in a previous structure and became responsible, amongst other things, for Murray Bridge Soldiers Memorial Hospital. And I reckon it was probably my first week when the doctors from Bridge Clinic bailed me up about the old emergency department and requested that I turn my energies to doing something about it, seeking to do something about it. And that wasn't the start of the journey, it was my welcoming to a journey that they'd already been on for quite some time. So I just want to acknowledge everyone that's been involved in the journey over the years that has led to the development of this brand new purpose-built emergency department that is designed to meet the current and future needs of the Murray Bridge community and surrounding communities, and to showcase, be a bit of a showcase of what's possible in regional South Australia. I want to thank the Minister and Cabinet for backing the project, and I want to thank everyone that's contributed to it, the staff that work within the hospital, the staff that have managed services through the disruption of having a construction project underway in their hospital that's affected, operating theatres, CSSD, medical imaging, access to the old emergency department. There used to be an admin building where the new emergency department is, so all of the admin services staff, medical records, the regional leadership team, for their part in the journey, and for managing through what is a long and complicated system of change that's led to the development of the new emergency department. I want to thank the architects, I want to thank the builders, and I want to thank everyone who's been involved in the construction project, subbies, for what is a fantastic facility. And very soon we'll open it up so that you can have a look through it. Also, I started off by acknowledging that we're meeting on Wurundjeri land, and our relationship with Wurundjeri people is very important to us. So you will notice here in the entrance we have essentially a seat, but it's a seat designed in the form of the shape of a boomerang and a spear pole. as occur on the Ngarrindjeri flag. You'll notice in the paving that there are different shades in the paving. The different shades, there are 18 areas of a different shade of tile. They represent the 18 clans of the Ngarrindjeri people. And we're in the process of commissioning some Aboriginal art for the facility, both internally and also to go on the concrete walls that you'll see along the side of the facility, in order to make it more welcoming and more culturally appropriate, more accessible to Aboriginal people. So I just want to, acknowledge everyone that's been involved in the design. Want to acknowledge the design team's willingness to engage with us about how to include Aboriginal concepts into the design as well. In terms of the actual opening of the ED, in terms of patients, there's still some final bits and pieces that need to be worked through before we treat patients in the new facility. But certainly next week, we expect to be treating patients in the facility mid to late next week. There are some additional bits of construction project that will still be going on. So the other side of the emergency department is the entrance of the old emergency department. We need to reconfigure part of the old emergency department to make room for some ultrasound rooms that were relocated, effectively taken over in order to build the new emergency department. And there'll be a new entrance to, say, medical imaging through that area that is the entrance to the old emergency department, and a linkway between the new emergency department and medical records, which are in the old admin wing, which is being completely refurbished as well as part of the project, in order to streamline access to medical records for people when they attend the emergency department. So without further ado, I would just invite everyone to remain seated a little bit and maintain physical distancing, and we will start opening up for some tours. So people make their way in an orderly manner while still physically distancing for everyone's safety to the ambulance entrance of the emergency department. We'll be able to start running some guided tours. Now, there are numerous other features of the emergency department. There's 2 treatment bays, 7 clinic rooms, clinic spaces, 2 treatment rooms, a whole list of things which you'll all get to see. It's dramatically better than the old emergency department and a huge step up in terms of the quality of care. So thanks to everyone involved. Thank you.